What is up, everybody? How's it going? It's that manga guy here, back with number 4 Shonen Weekly. And of course, we got my co-host, ZeroStrawhats, aka Jordan.
How's it going, everybody? Ready to talk about some shonen this week?
As well as we have a special guest. She is amazing. She loves us shoujo. She loves everything except for what we like to talk about. It's Kyetaku. How are you doing, Kyetaku?
Hey everyone, it's Kyetaku. Glad to be here.
Got tongue-tied. So yeah, we have a bunch of stuff to talk about, and firstly, let's just talk about some stuff that is releasing. Of course, we have that manga for Pokemon, Mewtwo Strikes Back, Evolution. Now, of course, if you were around when the movie came out, it was a huge deal. You know, when that first Pokemon movie hit the theaters, it was crazy. I still remember going to McDonald's and getting those Pokeballs with the gold covered. Yep. You guys remember that movie?
I'm pretty sure we still have some of those in the attic.
I remember the movie. I don't remember all that.
Oh, you don't?
I don't remember.
I remember going around and to all my friends and getting that view card that you got when you went into the movie. And I got 35 of them, and I lost all of them. But of course, we got The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess Volume 7. Now, the big thing about this series is, one, it's Zelda, so we all love it. It's Twilight Princess, probably one of the best stories of Zelda. And it's from the mangaka Himekawa Akira, which is actually two women actually formed this name, and they do the series. Breathtaking art. Definitely check out that series. As well as TV series, Inuyasha Set 2 on Blu-ray is released. So definitely check those out. And then JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Set 6, Golden Wind Part 1, finally released in America.
Yeah, none of those in particular I know too much about, but I will say, like, I've been sleeping on Zelda. I know nothing about Zelda. I just got to switch in the last little bit. I kind of want to get that game, and then if I enjoy the game, which I think I will, I'll probably end up trying some of the manga, because everyone talks about Zelda, but I have zero experience with it.
Yeah, I've got a friend who actually has like a Zelda live stream channel, and she streams it, she plays it, all of that. She is a huge fan. Pretty much all I know is Zelda is not Link. That's about the knowledge that I've got for the game there.
Yeah, so Zelda is definitely not Link. Zelda is a princess, and they live in the realm of Hyrule. Twilight Princess is where all the Shadow Realm comes from, where Link turns into a wolf and all that. So it's like, thinking about it, you already have like an aspect of this could be an anime, this could be a manga, and it is. So
yeah, the only reason I know that Link and Zelda is different is because of Super Smash Bros.
it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So yeah, going into the first topic. Now there's a lot of talk and a lot of debate on manga hauls, whether or not they're good or bad for the community. And I'll let Jordan take this one away.
Well, I don't really know who started it. I want to say it's on the shelf, or it might have been East Coast Manga. Someone started it, but
it's on the shelf.
Yeah, thank you. Or it might be I know Palm G did a video on it. It's been going around about manga halls and the effect it has on the community. I just kind of want to get you guys' opinion on manga hall as a whole. Not one as far as the Manga Haul videos and how they affect the YouTube community, and then also this Manga Haul as far as the amount you collect and how it can be kind of, as a collector, hard to manage manga collecting and when is it too much, when is it not too much. Let's go ahead and start off with our guest, I guess, Kyetaku.
Sure. And you can just call me Kai.
Yeah, get a little twisted up on that.
A lot of syllables. I was trying to be clever. So as far as Manga Haul go, I personally find that those videos are the ones, especially if you're new to MangaTube, that people pay more attention to. They do not pay as much attention to like the review videos that they do the haul videos. And for me, I've been collecting manga since the early 2000s, maybe 2001, 2002. And so the way I see it, I'm going to buy it regardless, so I might as well share it. And I read manga extremely quickly. So in any given night, I can read, depending on what time I start, 4 or 5 volumes before I go to bed. And so I have found that it's easier for me to keep up during those fast months, but then during slow months like last month, I'm a little overwhelmed because between July and August, I hauled a lot of manga because of Right Stuff's birthday sale. And so it's kind of like, okay, when do I make time between my day job and sleep to really get through all of this?
Well, I think that's really interesting because in the manga community, like I feel like it's been around a good 4 or 5 years, maybe a little bit longer, but you've been into it way before it's really been big on YouTube, which is kind of interesting. I didn't know that in your kind of journey of seeing it grow, the manga tube community on YouTube. What do you really feel on that?
So, MangaTube is actually something that I found recently. I have, strangely enough, I am much older than I probably am. Like, I'm only 30, but, you know, I'm that crotchety 90-year-old man who doesn't want kids on his lawn most of the time. So...
I'm still the oldest person in this podcast.
Congratulations.
Young bucks.
So I actually recently discovered MangaTube and BookTube probably about a year and a half ago. But when I started collecting manga, I think one of the first series I ever collected was Chobits in its entirety. And by the time I got to my sophomore year in college, I had the complete series of Chobits, the complete series of Wish, Sayuki Reload. Like, my collection was pretty big for the fact that the only place that I could buy it was Barnes & Nobles. You know, if you didn't want to try searching the web, which at 14, I did not.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been very interesting because it's always been one of those things that I was kind of teased about in school because it wasn't cool. And it super wasn't cool if you were a girl. Like, the nerdy guys kind of got it, but like, if you were a girl, it was just like this weird, like, unattractiveness automatically of like, why does the girl like nerdy stuff and not makeup? So I really do like the fact that most of the people that I follow on YouTube actually are female. And so it's really great seeing these female creators who most of us read all of the genres. Like a lot of the male YouTubers that I watch, a lot of them kind of solely focus on shonen, but a lot of the female YouTubers focus across the genres. And so I really like that it's becoming more mainstream, and I think Manga Hauls actually aid in that. Because when you are looking at someone who hauls across all spectrums of the genre, whether it's slice of life, whether it's romantic comedy, whether it's BL, whether it's shonen, whether it's seinen, you get a chance to get introduced to something you've never seen before. So I think in that aspect, hauls actually help the community.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think you gave some really good points that I want to come back around to. But first, let's go to Ben's opinions over the whole topic.
So I feel it doesn't hurt anything until it's used in a malicious way. If it's used to make other people feel guilty, you know, for not being able to afford whatever they have, I think that's destructive. I And then I feel like if you only watch, hauls from a certain kind of person, right? Without looking at more people in general, you'll see the same thing. So I feel like they get repetitive and boring from month to month. But overall, in the year, if you look for somebody that does more, shoujo, like Kai, you can actually get, you can get more coverage, more. I'm speechless right now.
Yeah, I think that's
You get more broad horizon, right, for manga. So I feel like you can learn more. You can figure out, like, I didn't even know that was a manga. I didn't even know this existed. So it's a good way to gauge what people like, but it's also a good way to learn more about different genres that you're not really used to. When now let's go to like Andrew Sandescu. Now his channel, he was flat out, in his name, Sandescu was basically buy, collect, not read, right? His channel was just buy, and then he'll read whenever he can. That's very transparent. You know what he's all about. He's about buying everything and showing everything off for people to see. But when people buy, and they're like, oh, you don't have, 72 volumes of Naruto in a month? What's wrong with you? I think that's a problem. When people showboat and they make you feel bad for only being able to get, 4 or 5, volumes or even books a month because you don't have that type of money.
Yeah, from my experience, I think that I want to talk a little more about the negative, and then I'll talk about how it can be positive. But what I feel like can be negative, I feel like from what I've seen, most of the time, I don't see people like purposely being like, "Hey, look at this." This is more of just like, "Okay, I can afford this. This is what I have." But like at the same time, if you scroll through YouTube and you're like a new collector, anything we're collecting, and you have like, you bought 1 volume, and then you go online and you see 40 volume haul, 80 volume haul, like 100 volume, you see all these huge hauls, and I feel like for me, when I was first getting started, it was a little bit discouraging to be like, wow, like I'm never gonna catch up with these people. Like it's just such a hard hobby to really get your feet into. But I feel like as long as everyone's like encouraging, like, hey, just afford whatever you can afford. Like when I first started collecting, I had a very low paying job, and I was buying maybe like 1 or 2 volumes a month, and that's what I could afford, and that's what I bought, and that was fine. And then other than birthdays and Christmas, like every one of those things, I would always ask for manga. So that's kind of how I got a lot of my manga. But as I got older and I can work a full-time job and do what I'm doing, I can afford it more, so I get more, and it's great. But I feel like you just have to be careful, just buying just because you want it and not being smart about it. I think another big problem in the community is like what you were saying, it's just buy, and not read, and that's definitely been something I've been guilty of. So especially for series I already own, like for like Naruto and Bleach and One Piece. Like I've read them before, I enjoy them, I love the series, but I bought them because I need them, because I care about them. But I haven't like reread the whole series since I bought them. You know what I mean?
I feel like a lot of people, but when they say that manga hauls are bad, I feel like they think it's a race.
Yeah.
They think they have to get everything. I need 5,000 volumes right away. If you have this, I need it. Like, I think people just need to, if you have money, spend it. It's your money. Do what you want to do with it. But I feel people aren't financially very well off in the aspect of this can become very addictive. Buying manga. And people really need to slow down, figure out, what they can spend without hurting themselves in other avenues financially, and just go with go with the flow. Like, if you want to read a couple of books a week, you know, you don't need to buy 40 volumes of something. If you just casually want to enjoy manga, you can still be in the community. Like, I'll still watch your videos if your Manga Haul has one manga, because I'm here to support everyone in the community. But don't feel like you have to spend money just to get people's recommendations and people's attention.
And I think an interesting point of view on that is when you talk more about not the viewer but the actual YouTuber themselves. Like, I know for me, like Kyetaku was saying, that the manga hauls do well, right? Like, the manga hauls do better. All my videos, my best videos, my manga collection, right? And all my other good videos are the manga hauls. So I feel like once you get into this community, you kind of, I've had the thought before of like, okay, I need to buy more manga because I need to get a better video out. But at the same time, it's like, that's not the way you should be collecting. That's not why you should be collecting. You're collecting because you enjoy it, not because you're trying to make a video. And I feel like that's something that the way this community is set up can happen a lot, is people just buy just for the purpose of videos and to get more views. And I feel like I'm seeing a lot more people being super creative and making different type of videos and doing reviews and doing all kinds of different things other than hauls. Not that hauls are bad, they're good to do, but just that's not the only way to be in this community. And from my experience in this community, everyone's been so friendly. Everyone's like, you always get one or two comments, you know, but like, everyone's so friendly around here. And you know, it's so easy to get into this community the way everyone is, and I feel like just buy what you can and it will grow over time.
I definitely agree with that. I think one of the things that I've kind of noticed being new to the community, because I mean, I'm new to the MangaTube community, definitely not new to manga, but as a female, I find that my very first video, I think, was a haul video. And like one of my first comments was someone correcting me because I did not categorize one of the manga that I bought in the right genre. And so as a female, while I have found that the community, for the vast majority of the community, has actually been extremely nice and extremely welcoming, I do find that kind of those haul videos and kind of those what I read this month videos get more views and kind of make it so that I don't have to prove myself as a fan as much as like maybe some of the review videos might. And so with the hauling and making sure, you know, if I haul different genres, which personally most of my hauls kind of focus on shoujo and BL, but there is a lot of shonen and seinen that I do, you know, get in because I still enjoy it. I do find that I don't get as many like rude comments on those. Not that I get a lot of rude comments. I've only had maybe like 2 out of the 8 videos that I've done. But like I posted my Funko Pop collection and got a thumbs down, and I was like, wait, why? So it's kind of interesting being a female in the community, and I feel like these haul videos kind of help, you know, put a foot in to say, oh, I'm real, if that makes sense.
Oh, do not worry about the thumb down. Like, you know your video has reached a bunch of people when you get a random thumbs down and no contact whatsoever. It's not even like somebody would be like, you're fat, thumb down. It's just like a thumb down and nothing. Like, at least give me like horrible feedback. We did have a thumb down on the Shonen Weekly, and they called us a plump podcast, but then they removed their thumb down. So I have no idea about that, but I do think that like everybody says, that manga hauls are probably the best way to get your name out there right away. As a manga tuber, as a booktuber, and I feel like when you start having other ideas and other videos instead of just doing manga hauls, you really can connect with people on a way better way. Like Kai, I know that you did a 24-hour readathon, right?
Yeah.
For one of your book clubs. Now, of course, it wasn't like a manga at all, but the way that she would check in every so often to, you know, to let everyone know her thoughts. And it was a trilogy, right? It was like a sci-fi type.
A trilogy, yeah, it's a sci-fi trilogy.
And it was really interesting, and I'm actually going to pick up that series because
It was really good.
it seems like a very, very heartwarming story of somebody's journeys and somebody's like fight internally, you know, of feeling alone and abandonment and all that. To overcome it.
Definitely a good one. I would recommend it. But I think readathons and like those are what I like to do. Like I read a lot. My goal for this year was 200 books, and that includes manga. So like readathons are kind of more of what I would like to do. But I do the haul videos because one, I'm buying it anyway. But two, it gets views.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's kind of interesting because I feel like as someone who's like new to the community, if you're new, hauls are easy to watch and they're fun to watch. But like as someone who's now been into the community way before I even started making videos, I think that it's just like you get so much more enjoyment for me personally when I make a review than I do a haul, because I feel like a haul is just more like, you know, it's cool to show what you get, but like when I make a review and I sit down and I give all my thoughts on it and I feel like I give my own personality into that video, and then like that video doesn't do as well as like my haul, sometimes it kind of frustrates me because I feel like I put more effort into the other video than I did the haul. But you know, like for example, I made like one review on Downfall, and I really enjoyed my review on it. Like I thought I did pretty good with that one. And then that was probably like my least viewed video. So it's kind of like, you just don't know how it's going to work out. But I think that manga hauls are definitely good for the community in the right circumstance, but I just think that there is a little bit of that as far as just like the way it influences people buying, and then also just it kind of is just such a trend on YouTube that like not a lot of other videos do as well. But it's kind of my biggest gripes on it.
Also remember, at the let's just look at it analytically, right? We are not, you know, pulling in tens of thousands of views. If we had, you know, we could do whatever we wanted. But I feel like manga hauls bring in the people. All the other content makes them want to stay.
That's a very good point.
That's a good point.
So I think, to everybody listening, to manga tubers, to just viewers, to manga enthusiasts, just do what you want to do, have fun with it, because people will find and love your personality and love the way that, or the types of videos that you do, and people know if you don't like to do something and you're just doing it to do it, they'll know. You know, it's easy to see it on somebody's face, it's easy to hear it in their tone of voice. If you don't like to do something, don't do it, do what you love, have fun with it.
Alright, sounds good. Are we ready to move on to the next topic?
Yeah, so Kai has a wonderful topic that she wanted to ask, so I will let Kai lead.
Sure. So one of the things I wanted to ask y'all about is, as someone who started watching shonen back when I was like, you know, 10 or 11 years old, watching Dragon Ball Z and Big O and, you know, all these shows that came on Toonami and Adult Swim, and seeing kind of how shonen has grown, and now being 30, I kind of wanted to get y'all's opinion on how shonen has grown, how you've grown with shonen, and whether or not you feel like you are outgrowing shonen. Because I mean, shonen is directed towards, I think it's what, 11 to 15-year-old boys is the target demographic, and none of us are, you know, that anymore. So I really wanted to kind of talk to y'all about how you feel that shonen has grown and how you've grown with shonen, and whether you think you've outgrown some shonen.
I think that that's a very interesting point with outgrowing shonen, because like for me growing up, like I'm a little bit younger, so the first ones that I really got into were Naruto and really like Naruto and Pokemon were really the first two anime. But as far as shonen, Naruto was it, and then as I got older, I got into like Death Note, Bleach and One Piece, but that was more in my high school years. It was younger that I was into Naruto. And I'll say that even now, like I enjoy shonen, but like there's some tropes and there's some things that you see in shonen when you've seen enough of them that you kind of say, okay, you know, I've seen this so many times. Or some of the jokes in shonen don't make me laugh the way they used to. And I definitely think that over time I've definitely catered more to more like Vinland Saga and like, you know, these more adult series like I was talking about Downfall. It's a really fun read. But I still love shonen. I always will. Just cool to see battles and all that fun stuff. But I think that overall, I've kind of grown out of it, but I still enjoy it.
So shonen for me, you know, Pokemon, Dragon Ball, Digimon, early stuff, right? You had a moral happening. You had playful, delightful characters. You never got into deep narratives. You never really got strong character developments. You never had any quote-unquote controversial topics within it. There's always, you know, bad guy of the week. Oh no, Pikachu has a tummy ache. We need to fix it. You know, you have 20 minutes of that. So growing up with that, it was great. And then you got Dragon Ball Z, which I feel like at that point it went from Dragon Ball, where it was all sexual humor and, you know, a little bit of fighting, but not that much, and it was just playful innocence wrapped up in sexual harassment. And then it went to Dragon Ball Z, which was a lot more serious, way more fighting, violence. You know, the potty humor kind of subsided there. There was more of a mission. There was, you know, there was more things to think about between the villains and the main characters than there was. And now there's The Promised Neverland, there's Jujutsu Kaisen, there's even like Death Note, you know, My Hero. They're growing up. They're showing that you can be a shonen without having to strip away what adults like in the story. Like Promised Neverland, it's very brutal. It's a story about kids being cattle, right? And that's a huge controversial topic for kids to wrap their heads around. But people love it. So I think it's becoming more mature for what shonen used to. And that's why I'd still read it.
I think you made a really good point there with that, how shonen has changed over the years a little bit. I think that since, like, everyone knows the big three, right? Like Naruto, One Piece, Bleach. I think since, like, Bleach and Naruto's ended, obviously One Piece is going on forever. But as they've ended, I feel like we're getting a little bit less of, like, the true, normal battle shonen that you kind of talk about. And we're seeing series that are different. I think Promised Neverland is a good example of that. And there's a lot of other ones, too, that have just been breaking the barrier. And although I do still like that a lot of them have those same kind of shonen humor, even one like My Hero Academia, like I think Deku is a lot more mature of a character than Naruto was at his age, or like Ichigo was at his age. So I definitely think there is a difference. But yeah, it's very interesting to see how shonen itself has grown over the years.
Well, let's look at it this way. Naruto was a baby who had a demon basically imprisoned in him, and everyone hated him for it. And then slowly meaning a couple volumes later, people started liking him, right? He had obstacles to overcome, but they weren't that bad, right? Now look at My Hero Academia and look at Todoroki.
Yeah.
He hates his father for what his father did to his mother, and his mother doesn't even want to look at him because he resembles his father. And
what she did to him.
Yeah, it's a lot more realistic based of what can happen and what people feel and what kids um, portray and all of this angst and emotions, and it shows Bakugo coming from kind of a more crazy, abusive, background, and how as a kid he had like all this joy that Deku had, but then he felt like he had to step up to be the man around everything, and it's way more mature than Goku looking for a couple of Dragon Balls.
I think that's a good point. One of the things that I found as I continue to watch Shonen is my brother and I recently watched Hunter x Hunter. I think this was last year. We watched Hunter x Hunter, and I hadn't seen Hunter x Hunter, but he had. And there were several times where I was just like, oh, this is so shonen, it hurts. Because there are still some tropes that I guess now that I'm older that I just can't watch anymore. But overall, I loved it. And I've got like a massive Hunter x Hunter enamel collection, enamel pin collection now. Because overall, I loved it. But there's still some tropes that I find that now that I've gotten older, some of that shonen humor just doesn't hit the same way that it used to. The same thing with the Power of Friendship. The Power of Friendship and I, we're on a rocky boat right now.
That's the fairy tale right there. That's the.
I mean, let's be honest. Hunter x Hunter started in '98, right?
Yeah.
They were still in the Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho, era. So it's like in the middle, right? You had shonen that's potty humor, doesn't do much, and then to mature shonen that's all kind of, like, it's in the middle. It's trying to be edgy, but it's still trying to be like, you're probably 7 watching this, so I'm gonna make some jokes that only grade schoolers will like.
Well, I think that if you kind of think about it, like back then, the two really big names were Dragon Ball Z and Yu Yu Hakusho, right? But isn't Yu Yu Hakusho a little bit more mature than
Yeah, I think
most
it's
shonen?
seinen. I think it's a borderline seinen.
Yeah. Because that series was really great, and I think that although we talk about how it has matured over the
Well,
years,
technically, the creator wrote both of those.
yeah, he did. Yeah, he
Yep.
did.
But
yeah,
I'm just looking at like the anime for it, because I haven't read Hunter x Hunter.
I haven't read Hunter x Hunter either. I find it interesting though, some of the ones that y'all have mentioned, the Promised Neverland, especially, sometimes I wonder how much of a shonen is it really? And are we really skirting some lines, into seinen territory, which is, for older, more adult type things or older teen type things. And so I wonder now if shonen has really just kind of blurred that line, and we're kind of making just this broad category and genre, kind of the same way that a lot of people do with shoujo. Josei is kind of just thrown into shoujo. It's just all shoujo. So I'm wondering if, shonen has kind of taken that same route where a lot of these more mature themes are thrown into these shows that are allegedly, targeted to younger kids, just to make sure that the entire fandom stays there,
Yeah, well, I think like some series, like just because we're talking about Promised Neverland, I think Promised Neverland, although overall is still more mature, I definitely still see shonen like things in it. Like I think the way without saying too much about the series, I know you're not tuned to it yet, but like the main character is like, we gotta do this all together, and like every single one of us has to make it. And I just feel like there's a little. I'm trying to be careful with spoilers for the series, but I do feel like there is still that shonen aspect. But I do think it's growing too, and maybe just shonen just isn't what we think it is anymore. But I do think that there's those little things that you see in series that are out, like even in Promised Neverland and My Hero, and what I've seen of Demon Slayer, you still see those things, but then you also see more of a maturity and more of a different premise than what you're used to.
Honestly, to be fair, I don't think anything past like 2005, maybe like 2000, the millennium, was Shonen's never been the same. It's always been teen and up, right? Before it was, Dragon Ball's like borderline, you shouldn't even read because it's obscene. But it's done in a way where you can almost excuse it, which is a bad thing to say, but it's more innocent, perverting, I guess.
When Goku being under Bulma's skirt to figure out why she doesn't have the same parts he does.
I mean, the whole thing of like Roshi sexually harassing women and telling Goku to bring a pretty one for him to do training, and Goku doesn't know what's going on, and then he's like, "Oh, I know what panties are, Master Roshi. It's punching," because he asked for panties and she punched him. So,
Yep.
like, it's adorable, and Goku is so pure and innocent all the way into Dragon Ball Super, where he asks Vegeta what kissing is, and Vegeta's like, "You have 2 kids." Like, what? Yeah, but if you look at now, I was sitting with my niece and nephew, and I'm like, I want to get them into anime, because I'm sick and tired of watching Scooby-Doo. I love Scooby-Doo, but I'm sick and tired of the new stuff. And I'm looking, there's nothing acceptable for kids. I mean, Naruto's violent, Bleach is violent, One Piece is violent, Promised Neverland is horror, and it's horrific. What else is there? Death Note is just not, it's intellectual, it's not horrific. So I
went over to the shoujo, show him some Sailor Moon, magical girls.
All right. I don't need indecent exposure at. They already run. One of them already runs around, naked without a diaper. Okay.
Talking about controversial things and shonen, like, I kind of want to know if you guys have any experience with this. I've been watching this recently with my little brother, and I think it's just maybe the weirdest trope I've ever seen in shonen. Do you guys have any experience with Black Clover?
No.
Mm-hmm. I've only watched the first season.
There's a character in Black Clover who is like so obsessed with his sister that he like gets nosebleeds every time he looks at pictures of her.
Sister trope.
Yeah. And I've seen it before, but the way it is, maybe it's just my first time experiencing it, but the way it is in Black Clover is so cringeworthy that even though I like the show, sometimes like whenever he's on it, like I just want to skip the episode because it really bothers me how he is with his sister. Like, it's creepy.
Oh no, there is a whole like manga and anime that's called something like along the lines of "There's nothing better than a little sister,"
Oh my god.
or something like that. Like that's the title. Like no, that's a whole trope.
Yeah, I guess I just only know it from Black Clover, but I know that bothers me a lot. I definitely think that takes me a lot out of that show whenever he's involved.
Well, then definitely don't look at some of the other genres, because nosebleed to a sibling isn't that bad compared to some of the stuff out there.
I guess I'm a newbie when it comes to that,
But I do love the nosebleed trope of, oh, I'm not a pervert, I don't have nosebleeds, and then he turns around and there's like a half-naked woman and he just gushes blood.
Everywhere.
I think Sanji's like the perfect example of that kind of character.
Oh, I can't remember which arc it was where like Sanji has like extreme blood loss, but he's around all the mermaids.
Yeah,
and so
he almost died.
had to get like a blood transfusion.
Yeah, like it was like, a lot of times they use that as like a trope and like a funny moment, and then the story's back to normal. Like he was out of fighting for like a while because his nosebleed was so bad that he couldn't fight. Like that was kind of funny.
So I have a question for Kai, because this will be in your realm, your expertise. Now, Shonen Jump, with Shonen in general, how do you think, or do you think that there should be more romance, shoujo-esque stories within, instead of just always having the crazy fights?
So I hate when it throws romance just because they're like, oh, we want female viewers. I hate it. Like, if you're going to give me a romance, I want a real one. I want development. I want beginning, middle, and end to this relationship. I want to know they're actually in this relationship. Like, I want development and all of that. And I just don't think Shonen necessarily has the space for it to be, like, real. Like, I really hate it when they, like the Star Wars movies, the new ones, where they just kind of threw in, like, maybe there's a romance here. And I'm like, I don't need a romance.
Yeah, that's a good example of that.
Like, I want to blow stuff up. I like to blow stuff up too. So I don't necessarily think that I need it in there. I will say though that there are the whole harem genre, the fact that it's considered shonen is insane to me. Because like quintessential quintuplets, how is that a shonen? Like, just because it's a harem doesn't mean it's a shonen, because the entire show is, which one of these is he gonna get married to? And we watch them all grow and bond and become friends and then become lovers. And so I'm like, I don't really know if I'm gonna consider this a shonen. But because it's a harem, it is considered one. So like, if you're going to give me a romance, I want the full romance. Like, don't half-ass it for me. Like, I need all of it.
I mean, also, when I say like need shoujo in shonen, I mean like when you go on the app, there's like actual shoujo, like romance shonen, not just romance put into, let's say, My Hero Academia, but just like have more stories about, romance. That.
Well, if that's what you're talking about, then I'm on the fence about it. So there was a controversy maybe a month ago where a very influential manga tuber basically said that shoujo was a dead genre and that it was basically pointless. And the female manga community on Twitter went crazy. And as someone who loves shoujo, it is kind of hard because with shonen, both men and women are reading them. Like, I know tons of women who love Jujutsu Kaisen, who love The Promised Neverland, who love all of that. And I really wish that guys did have more access to these stories because they may stumble on it, not realize it, and then like it. And the more access that they have to it, the more that they read it, the more that they like it, the more I can get Kodansha to put stuff out in print instead of putting it in digital, waiting for the digital to be popular and then giving me print. Like, no, I want print.
I did find there's a series debut through Viz Media with Shonen. It's called Fly Me to the Moon.
Yeah.
I saw that. I have that in my cart.
It's a romance, comedy, science fiction of
I've heard good things.
woman wanting to marry the main character, and the main character is figuring out who the hell she is.
Yeah,
So-
Shay Geeks Out actually reviewed that recently because she got an advanced reader copy, and after her review, it's definitely on my list to pick up.
And I am going to buy it right now.
I actually
It
think
sounds
that-
so good.
Yeah, I saw that on cause every now and then I'll just look up stuff, random things, and I read the premise and I saw the cover for it and I thought it was pretty interesting. I added it to, not my cart, but like my series I'm interested in, or whatever it's called, and I might have to go ahead and pick that up. I think I want to talk a little about romance that's actually in the shonen series that are out already. I think usually it's not done very well, like a lot of series like Naruto or Bleach, where like as soon as it ends, they're like, okay, this person with that person, this person with that person, which is like okay, but like there's never truly any development for it. But I think that one series in particular that I think is a really good, well, there's two actually that I think have pretty decent romances for shonen, and that's Fullmetal Alchemist, because I do always feel like that's one you gotta talk about. Women and Ed is a great couple, and then another one, I don't know if you guys have any experience with Bakuman. I always talk good stuff about Bakuman. I think the romance between Marshido and Oshido is great as well.
I have not picked that one up. I will look into that. But I do agree with you on Full Metal Alchemist. That relationship was very well done.
Yeah, me too. I I agree on all aspects. Uh-huh.
I mean, I would love for it to be, more pronounced, or I guess my biggest thing is a lot of these male mangaka do not write women characters that, one, are like real women, or two, that anyone likes. Like, they do very poorly with the writing of female characters.
Yeah, I agree. I watch a lot of manga. Well, watch a lot of manga. I watch a lot of anime with my girlfriend. We watch a lot of series together. We watched Fullmetal Alchemist, and we watched Naruto, and we watched Demon Slayer. And she always says, well, like, a lot of these female characters are just really poorly written. She likes Fullmetal Alchemist, but she think they did a lot better job. But I never seen her. We've watched so many shows, anime, not anime. She hates Sakura with a passion. I mean, she thinks she's like the worst written character.
Hey, and then there's a series that came out that wrote women characters very well, and everyone loved it. And then they found out the author is a little pervert, and got arrested.
That sucks. I heard good things about it.
Well, and so the thing is that I would really love to see is more of a well-written, female character, because women can be badasses too. Like Robin, Nico Robin in One Piece, I love her.
Love Nico.
Right in the middle of the action constantly.
Emma from The Promised Neverland.
Oh, from One Piece.
Yeah. I mean, The Promised Neverland has a great female, strong female character as well. And I really love to see more well-written, strong female characters. I hate it when they give a female character a power, but don't really let her utilize it, which is kind of how I felt happened with Sakura, which I'm not a huge, Naruto fan. I did not read the manga, and I've only seen a few of the anime, but the rhetoric around that series, she's just not well written. Had she been well written, she probably would have been a much better character.
Yeah, I don't think there's maybe one decently written female in Naruto. I think a lot of, and I think Bleach is kind of the same way. I think that, like I said already, Fullmetal Alchemist, pretty much every female character is written so well. I think that the mangaka is a female for that series. Am I correct? I think so. I might be wrong. Don't quote me on it, but I think she is. So maybe that's your answer for that. I don't like. One thing I really love about anime, because I was into anime first and then I got into manga, was that anime really broadened my horizons of things because I just wanted more of it. And once I got past the Kogiases and the Death Notes and all these really popular series, I needed to try new things. And then I tried Clannad and Clannad App Store and Your Lie in April and My Little Monster, and all those series are amazing series that I would probably a couple years ago been like, no, I'm never gonna check these out. But there's very few series I enjoy. I've all the anime I've ever watched, and I've watched 60 or 70 of them, and manga as well. You can add it in there. Clannad and Your Lie in April is super high on that list for me. And those are series I wouldn't have checked out before.
Such tear jerkers. You like the sad stuff.
They're good. If you can make me cry, I like a series that can generally make me feel something. If I'm sad, if you make me feel excited, if you get some real emotion in me, no matter what kind it is, then I think it's a good series.
Well, see, and that's why I love shoujo, because it makes me feel.
I like horror. That's my big pull. Horror manga for some reason. I'm a big sissy. I will jump at everything. But I like feeling that uneasy nervousness, not knowing what's going to happen type aspect. And I wanted to ask, now with a lot of shonen, with a lot of these narratives, it's always a woman chasing after a man. Why isn't there ever one where there's a strong female lead that a man's chasing after? It's always the woman chasing the guy for some reason, and it's putting kids at this whole women need to chase type situation, which then the boys grow up and they realize, oh, this isn't what actually happens in the real world.
I think the part of the reason why I like Magical Girl series, because the male characters are really like sideline items. Like Tuxedo Mask was cool, and he did, step in to save the day. Every once in a while he'd throw the rose, and that gives Sailor Moon enough time to get her shit together. But
get naked and put her costume on.
Huh?
Get naked and change her clothes.
Okay, you don't see any of it. There's sparkles.
Okay, yeah, oh yeah, okay.
There's sparkles, there are ribbons, we're covered.
There needs to be like a live action kind of parody of Sailor Moon, like turning, doing the whole thing, and then like halfway through the cops just stop her and arrest her. Like, all right, indecent exposure, let's go. No, I'm Sailor Moon. Yeah, okay, Sailor Moon. Yeah, okay. Just get in the cop car, Sailor. But go on.
I do think there are some series, of course they're not shonen series, but that's another thing that I love about shoujo and josei, especially josei, now that I'm getting older, is there are so many like strong female characters. So one series that I just finished is called Everyone's Getting Married. And the premise is exactly what it sounds like. There's the chick, everyone's around her is getting married. She really wants to get married, and her dream was always to get married and become a housewife. Because her mother was a housewife, and her mother created this awesome home for her, so that's what she wanted to create for her family. So she meets this guy. The guy basically says, I would rather die than get married, but they start dating anyway because it's josei. And watching her transition to the end where she's like, I love my career. My career is awesome. I am good at it. And in the end, you do end up seeing him kind of chasing her because she makes this decision to put her career kind of first after she had these dreams of being a housewife, is something that shows women and shows girls that you have options. You don't have to be this one thing. And you can change your mind.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think it's just good just to get away from the same kind of narratives. Like, even though shonen has changed over the years, there's still a lot of the same kind of things. And I think that now I'm kind of at the point where I have all the shonen in my collection that I really feel like I need to own as a shonen fan. That now is the time to branch out a little bit more and try out some of these series. I know one series that you brought up in the beginning that I haven't read the manga for. I don't know if it's different, but I've seen the anime for it, was Chobits, and I enjoyed it when I watched it. It was a really good show to watch. I watched it years ago. It was just different. This whole idea of dating robots and like what would it be like if it would actually like that. I think it was super cool. I might have to pick up the manga. I don't know if the manga is different from the anime, but I thought that was a pretty cool one.
It is. It's a little bit different, but not by much. And it's been years and years and years since I've seen the anime. But they are actually releasing the 20th anniversary editions of Chobits. And so I just picked up the hardback 20th anniversary edition of Volume 1 last month. I am so excited because I have the original single volumes from back in the early 2000s, and now I can put them right next to the hardbacks.
That's a true fan, I think. When you have both, that's a true fan.
Definitely. So let's get to closing statements. Again, Manga Halls, great way to show off what you have, to discuss what you're thinking about in the future. But definitely, you have to look at how you're portraying it is the big takeaway that I want to say. As well as with shonen, of course, it'll never, be as mature as other genres, but I feel like they've done a lot to bring a story that kids can understand and like, and adults can get something out of it as well. Zero?
Yeah, I think as far as Manga Hall go, the biggest thing is just like, first off, buy what you enjoy. Don't forget that we're all doing this because we enjoy these stories and we want to read them. And also, just buy what you can afford, man. There's nothing wrong with buy 1 or 2 volumes, buy a box set, they're cheaper. Do whatever you gotta do it slowly, do it the right way, and just have fun with it, man. That's the most important thing, just enjoy what you're reading. And then as far as shonen, I really loved to see how it's grown over the years. I'm a big fan. I'm very proud of the way the whole manga community in general has grown, and I feel like Shonen has done a good job at that, and I was really curious to see how it was going to go after the big three ended, and I feel like for the most part they're doing a great job, and I'm very excited for whatever they have next.
And lastly, Kai?
So as far as manga hauls go, I think the final takeaway I'd give is this is not a competition. We're all in this community because we love it. We're in this community because we wake up and that is what we want to read. This is what we want to watch. So it's not a competition. If you haul one volume, if you haul, 20 volumes, at the end of the day, if it's stuff that you love and it's what you want to see on your shelf and it sparks joy, then do it because it sparks joy. It's not a competition. And as far as shonen goes, I'm glad that we had this discussion because it is interesting how it seems that the genre has grown with us some while still retaining a little bit of that younger feel to it. And so we still have those common tropes, but it is interesting and it's also good to see how as we grow, it's like our shows and our favorites are growing with us.
Yeah, definitely. As well as always check out these two. You can check them out in the links in the description. If you like romance, if you like shoujo, if you like, a little more risque conversation, go check out Kyetaku. She's wonderful, and she also does a lot other, book reviews and talks about everything else within that. And then if you want to, check out Zero and his shenanigans, he has a bunch of reactions and a couple of skits. I know you're doing a few skits soon.
Yeah, I have a couple already recorded coming out in the next little bit.
Yeah, so he's saving them. So you gotta, hit that subscribe button for him, or else you'll never see him.
Exactly.
So definitely check him out. And as well as next week is number 2 of Kaiju number 8 Talk. Thank you, everybody, and I hope you have a wonderful night. Bye!